Hi, welcome back. In this tutorial we're going to be looking at how we draw lives and score to the screen. So when we're drawing lives and score to the screen, we're going to be using, or I'm going to be using, this blank area at the top of the screen. So I've left this blank on purpose because that's where I'm going to put my text for those two items. So we're going to make this eventually a persistent piece of text. What that means is it will be created once at the start of the game, and then it will stay recorded, or at least that those scores will stay stored right the way throughout the game, whichever level we're on. So that'll become more clear as we work through this process. So the first thing that we need to do is to create a font that's going to be used to display our score and our lives. Because when we create a game, you'll notice that the fonts here, okay, I'm looking here, are blank. There's none in there. So first off, we need to create a font that we can use in game to display stuff on the screen. So we're going to create in the fonts area a font. I'm going to call this FNT underscore, and I will call it game font. You can call your game font whatever you like. It's just, don't forget, good practice to use the naming conventions, and the one for font happens to be FNT. So you can see a preview area here of the font. This is where we can select our font. This allows us to display certain group items. We've got we can change it to bold and underlined and italic here. We can change the size of the font here, and we can turn on and off anti-aliasing, which as you can see, if I've turned it off, it makes the font slightly fuzzy. So it's always a good idea to keep that on, unless you're doing that for a reason, to go with the style of game. So I'm going to look at some fonts here. So I'm going to come down to let's have a look at some of the fonts. If I go to Verdana, we can change the font style to bold, for example. So it's giving you a preview here, and I can change the font size here. So I'm going to go with something like that for now, just for now. Let's see how that looks. I might come back and change the font depending on how it looks in game. So I'm going to keep my font as that. Okay. The next thing that we need to do is to create an object that's going to be used to display our lives and score. Now, this is something called a game object. It doesn't have any sprite associated with it, because all it does, it stores, or it actually calculates things for us in game. So this object will store scores, it will store lives, it stores, it looks at where we currently are in the game, it checks to see if we've won the game, or if we've run out of lives, it moves us between different screens and so on. So it's really the backbone of the game, if you like. It keeps track of everything that's going on in the game. So I'm going to create a new object for this, and it's exactly the same process as other objects you've created. I'm going to create an object, and this object I'm going to call obj underscore game. Okay, so you can see it's called the game object. There are no sprites associated with this object, so it's not going to be displayed in game, but it's going to be on the room. Okay, I'll explain what I mean by that in a second. And the first thing I want to do with this object is to create some variables that are going to be used throughout the game in different objects. And because they're going to be used in different objects, I need to make them global. And what global means, it means the variables can be used by any object in the game. So I could use them in the monster object, I could use them in the player object, I could use them in the gem object if I needed to. Okay, so we're going to create a number of variables. So I'm going to create a create event. So when this object is created, I want to declare a couple of variables. So on game start, Okay, so I want to create the following variables. I want to create lives, I want to create score. Okay, so because they're global, I need to declare them as global variables. And to do that, I use the word global in front of the variable, so the variable name. So I'm going to set global dot lives equal to, how much do we have? 3 lives at the start. Okay, I'm going to set global dot score, and I have that equal to 0 because I want to start the score at 0. I just want to go back to the game screen a minute. So I don't want to do that actually. What I want to do is display the room for level 3, and don't forget the aim of the game is to get this hat. Okay, so what I need to do in my game object as well is to declare a variable to check whether or not we've got the hat. So we did something similar to this with the key. So we had a variable called hasKey. So we're going to create a global variable which is going to check if we've got the hat or not. So I'm going to set a global variable as hasHat. If it's 0, it means we haven't got the hat. If it's 1, it means we have got the hat. So let's close this this level down, and I'm going to set another variable, global dot hasHat. Global dot hasHat, and I'm going to set that equal to 0. So I'm going to check to see if the hasHat variable is 1 or a 0. And if it is a 1, we're going to go to the win screen. If it's a 0, we're going to take the we're going to keep on playing the game until that variable changes. Okay, the last thing I need to do on this create event for the time being is to tell the game object, what font I'm going to use. So we do that using a command called draw underscore set underscore font. So we're going to use draw underscore set underscore font. So this is going to tell the game what font we're going to use. We've only got one font in the game, and we've called it FNT underscore game font. So it tells you, so I'm going to open the bracket, and it tells you down here you need to name your font. So that is FNT underscore, and there's my game font there, game font. Okay, so don't forget all of those lines need to be ended with semicolons. This exclamation mark is here because we haven't used hasHat variable anywhere else. It's not a built-in variable, whereas lives and score are, so that's why you don't see the exclamation mark there. This is nothing to worry about yet because we haven't finished the coding, so that's absolutely fine at the moment. Okay. So so what we're going to do now is look at how we actually draw the fonts to the screen. Okay, so I'm going to close this down because we've finished with this now. So I'm going to add an extra event, and this time I'm going to add a draw event, and I'm just going to use the draw object. It's not a GUI event, that's something different which we're not going to cover in this tutorial. We're just using the draw event, and the draw event is going to be used to draw objects to the screen. Okay, or draw things to the screen. We can draw sprites to the screen if you want to. We can use text. So we can use the draw event. Okay. So the draw event is going to be used to display to the screen. Okay, so I might change this description a little bit later on when we've added a few more bits and pieces. So, how do I draw things to the screen? Well, what I want to do is to draw text, and we're going to look at this in a little bit more detail later, because we can use some different effects, and we can center text and so on. We're not going to cover that in this video. We'll do that maybe not next one, maybe the one after. But we're going to draw some text to the screen. So I'm going to take you through how to draw the score to the screen first. Don't forget we've set our score to 0. So we use the command draw underscore text. So draw underscore text. And then I'm going to open a bracket. Okay, now at the bottom of the screen you can see that it tells me what it's looking for. It's looking for an X position, it's looking for a Y position, and it's asking me for a string. So the X position is where we want to start the text drawing on the X axis, that is horizontally. Okay. The Y is where do we want it to display from the top of the screen down. So the first number is how far in from the left do we want it. The second number, the Y, is how far down from the top we want to start drawing out text. And then the string is what do we want to display. So let's try this. Okay, we're going to go, let's say I want to draw it 50 pixels across, because don't forget we're working on full HD resolution here. And then I want to draw it, say 50 down. And just for now, I'm going to put the word score. You have to put the string in speech marks, by the way, otherwise it won't recognize it as text. So I'm going to put score, a colon, and I'm going to leave a space. Okay, and I'm going to close a bracket, and I'm going to end the statement with a semicolon. So that's given the command draw text. I want to draw it 50 from the left, 50 from the top, and I want to display the word score. So in order to get this object in the game, I need to add it to the room. So we're just going to add this one game to this one object, the game object to the room. In a future video we're going to take it out of the room, okay, but you don't know about that quite yet. So I'm going to open up my level 1, okay, and I want to just drag the object anywhere in the room. It won't be visible because there's no sprite associated with it. So I'm just going to click Object Game, and I'm just going to put it just so I know where it is in the top left hand corner. You can see there's a little, if I zoom in you'll be able to see there's a little question mark there. Okay, you can see it there. Okay, but you won't see that in game. So when I run the game, what should happen is we'll display the word score in on my game. Okay, so let's try that. Let's close this level down and let's run. Okay, so you can see the word score, 50 across, 50 down. I might want to move it up slightly. It doesn't look quite centered, so I might want to put the make the y-axis maybe 45. Let's try that. Let's make the y-axis 45. That's the second number. 45. Okay, now run again. Okay, that's a bit better. Okay, so that's moved it to 45, but I haven't got any score after it. Now we declared a variable called score, and we set that score value to 0, if you remember. So I need the 0 after it, but I can't just use the variable name because it's a text string. Okay, because when you use draw text, you're drawing text, and the number that you've saved in the variable called global.score is a number. We need to convert that number to a text value in order to display it, and we do that in the following way. After the speech mark, okay, we just put plus string. Okay, and what the string function does, it converts a number to text. So I need to tell it now what number do I want to convert to text. Well, I want to convert global dot score. Okay, so hopefully what that should do now, that will display the word score, and then after it it'll display the value of global dot score, but converting it from a number from the global dot score variable to a string. Okay, so let's run that and see what happens. There we go. So there's our global dot score value. So if I change that that variable to 100, for example, and then run the game, it'll display my score now as 100. Okay, so that's how that works. So we can do exactly the same thing for the lives. Let's set that back to 0. We're going to create a draw event, and don't forget, whenever possible, no problem with you copying and pasting text. This time I'm going to use lives, so I'm going to change this score to lives, and obviously I want to change it to global.lives here. Okay. Now this is where you have to start playing about with numbers. So let's try 100 here. So I'm going to be moving it across 100 pixels. I don't think that's going to be enough, but I just wanted to show you what will happen. Okay. So you can see now that lives is being drawn over the top of score, so it's not enough, it doesn't come across enough. And this is where you need an idea to use the rulers. Okay, so let's have a look at the rulers. So if I go on to my room for level 1, so I could say, let's have a look at around about the 200 mark. Okay, that's the way it probably looks about where my my text is ending. So maybe 250. Let's try 250. Okay, so you can see the numbers that run across the top here. So I'm going to try 250 and see if the start of the lives is not now cut off. So let's try that. Let's go back on here and let's try and change the X value here to 250. Okay, and then run the game. So there we are. I might want to move it across a bit more. I think I will actually. I might make it 300 perhaps. Let's try that, 300. There we go, that looks a bit better to me. So now we've got on the screen score and lives. If I wanted that on the second room as well, then I would need to put that as it is at the moment. I would need to add the game object to the other room. So just to demonstrate that, let's play the game. Very quickly run through this level. Okay, so we've got the key. Okay, let's go up here. I don't want to make you jealous of my gaming skills, but there we go. Okay, so if I come across and go to the next exit, you can see that the lives and the score don't appear on that screen. Okay, so let's go on to room 2 and let's add the game object into this room. Let's try that again. Okay, get the key as quickly as I can. Okay, and you can see that the lives and the score are now displayed in room 2. Okay, there is an issue with this which we'll look at in the next video, but that's how you display text on the screen in your rooms in GameMaker. So in the next video we're going to look at using those score and lives text values that we've got in those variables to keep a track of the number of lives that we have and the score that we have throughout the game. So I'll see you in the next lesson.